For years, Finland was held up as one of Europe's economic role models, a country known for strong companies, high productivity, low debt, and disciplined public finances. During the eurozone debt crisis, Helsinki even pushed struggling southern European countries to cut spending and tighten their budgets. But as El Economista reports, Finland's own economic fortunes have since changed dramatically. Today, unemployment is above 10%, youth unemployment is around 25%, and public debt is approaching 90% of GDP. To understand that, start with Finland's biggest economic success story, Nokia. For years, Nokia was a global technology giant, creating jobs, exports, and huge tax revenues for Finland. But when Apple and other companies transformed the smartphone market, Nokia lost its dominance. At almost the same time, Finland's paper industry began shrinking as the world moved from paper to digital. Two major engines of the Finnish economy were suddenly running out of steam. Then came a problem that was much harder to fix: Finland's aging population. More people were retiring, while the number of working-age people was shrinking. That meant fewer workers paying taxes, while spending on pensions, healthcare, and social support kept rising. Economic growth stayed weak, and Finland struggled to find new industries big enough to replace the ones it had lost. In simple terms, the country had fewer people generating wealth, but more people depending on public spending. And then Russia changed the equation. Finland shares a 1,140-kilometer border with Russia, and for years that border was an economic connection as well as a security frontier. Russian tourists came to Finland, businesses traded across the border, and eastern Finnish towns depended heavily on Russian customers and transport. But after Russia invaded Ukraine, Finland joined Western sanctions. Russian tourism collapsed, and trade with Russia plunged. The economic relationship that had once benefited Finland became a major vulnerability. And Finland had to spend more at the same time. The pandemic had already pushed government borrowing higher. Then the war meant higher defense spending, while the loss of Russian trade hit parts of the economy. High interest rates also hurt housing and construction, while worried households started saving instead of spending. Suddenly, Finland was facing weak growth, rising unemployment, and rising debt, all at once, and the comparison with Southern Europe became impossible to ignore. Finland's unemployment is now slightly higher than Spain's, while Portugal's has fallen below 6%. So Finland's economic problem is not one single crisis. It is the combination of several shocks that built up over years. The fall of Nokia, the decline of paper, an aging population, weak growth, and the economic fallout from Russia's war. Now the government is cutting welfare spending and changing labor rules to bring down debt and get more people into work. But that creates another problem. If people have less money to spend, businesses may have less reason to hire. Finland is therefore facing a difficult balancing act. Cut the debt without cutting away the growth it needs to recover. And that is how one of Europe's former economic role models ended up having to rebuild its own model.